Hello everyone, my name is Spooks and welcome back to the Urban Legends series. I'm sorry for the lack of videos lately. I've been taking a break because of everything that's been happening, but I feel ready to slowly start making videos regularly again. In today's episode of Urban Legend, we'll take a look at the babysitter and the man upstairs. Since there are several examples of this urban legend, I chose one that I thought was one of the best. A married couple were going out for the evening and called in a teenage babysitter to take care of their 3 children. When she arrived, they told her they probably wouldn't be back until late, and that the kids were already asleep, so she needn't disturb them. The babysitter starts doing her homework while awaiting a call from her boyfriend. After a while, the phone rings. She answers it, but hears no one on the other end. Just silence. Then whoever it is hangs up. After a few more minutes, the phone rings again. She answers, and this time there's a man on the line who says, in a chilling voice, "Have you checked the children?" Click. At first she thinks it might have been the father calling to check up, and he got interrupted, so she decides to ignore it. She goes back to her homework. Then the phone rings once again. "Have you checked the children?" says the creepy voice on the other end. "Mr. Murphy," she asks, but the caller hangs up again. She decides to phone the restaurant where the parents said they'd be dining, but when she asks for Mr. Murphy, she is told that he and his wife had left the restaurant 45 minutes earlier. So she calls the police and reports that a stranger has been calling her and hanging up. "Has he threatened you?" the dispatcher asks. "No," she says. "Well, there's nothing we can really do about it. You could try reporting the prank caller to the phone company." A few minutes go by and she gets another call. "Why haven't you checked the children?" the voice says. "Who is this?" she asks, but he hangs up again. She dials 911 again and says, "I'm scared, I know he's out there, he's watching me." "Have you seen him?" the dispatcher asks. She says no. "Well, there isn't much we can do about it," the dispatcher says. The babysitter goes into panic mode and pleads with them to help her. Now, it'll be okay," he says. "Give me a number and street address, and if you can keep this guy on the phone for at least a minute, we'll try to trace the call." "What was your name again?" "Linda." "Okay, Linda. If he calls back, we'll do our best to trace the call, but just keep calm." "Can you do that for me?" "Yes," she says, and hangs up. She decides to turn the lights down so she can see if anyone's outside, and that's when she gets another call. "It's me," the familiar voice says. "Why did you turn the lights down?" "Can you see me?" she asks, panicking. "Yes," he says after a long pause. "Look, you've scared me," she says. "I'm shaking. Are you happy? Is that what you wanted?" "No." "Then what do you want?" she asks. Another long pause. "Your blood. All over me." She slams the phone down, terrified. Almost immediately it rings again. "Leave me alone," she screams. But it's the dispatcher calling back. His voice is urgent. "Linda, we've traced that call. It's coming from another room inside the house. Get out of there, now." She tears to the front door, attempting to unlock it and dash outside, only to find the chain at the top still latched. In the time it takes her to unhook it, she sees a door open at the top of the stairs. Light streams from the children's bedroom, revealing the profile of a man standing just outside. She finally gets the door open and bursts outside, only to find a cop standing on the doorstep with his gun drawn. At this point, she's safe, of course. But when they capture the intruder and drag him downstairs in handcuffs, she sees he is covered in blood. Come to find out, all 3 children have all been murdered. And that's the urban legend that teenagers have been sharing for decades. But is it fictional or true? Well, as it turns out, there might actually be some truth to the story. The night of March 18th, 1950, 15-year-old Janet Chrisman had agreed to babysit the 3-year-old son of Mr. and Mrs. Ed Romack. she did not attend the 8th grade party that was being held that night because she needed the money. Before leaving for a card game at 7:50 p.m., Ed Romack showed Chrisman how to load and fire his shotgun. He also instructed her to turn on the bright porch light before entering the door if anyone came calling. At 10:35 p.m., Officer Roy McCowan received a jarring phone call. A girl was screaming hysterically on the other end, and McCowan heard the words, "Come quick." The connection, however, broke off before the girl could identify herself. At that late hour, the test board at the telephone company was not staffed and the call couldn't be traced. At about 1:35 a.m., the Romacks returned home to find Janet in a pool of blood by the family piano. The front Venetian blinds were open and the porch light illuminated. Both the front and back doors were open and a side window was broken open. In the attack, she was hit on the head with a blunt weapon, raped, and strangled with an iron cord. She had puncture wounds on her head, and they were consistent with that of a mechanical pen, an item that was often carried by a friend of the Romacks, Robert Mueller. He had met Janet several times and was impressed by her figure and her mature development, and he even expressed the opinion that she was a virgin. Mrs. Romack told police she thought Mueller had made unwelcome advances toward Chrisman in the past. Robert Mueller was never charged, however, as he passed a lie detector test. Therefore, the crime remains unsolved. Could this horrific crime be the inspiration for the urban legend that we know today as the babysitter and the man upstairs? There are definitely similarities. The crime made many of Janet's classmates afraid to be home alone, decades after the crime, because they were afraid to meet the same demise as Janet.
Eat.